Magic Dragons! I am back to do my mid-month January wrap-up. So I am trying to get better at doing mid-month wrap-ups. I have been a little bit bad in the past. I do want to do a little bit of a check-in on my book buying and how I'm doing in every video and see how my reading stats are. This video not going to be that great because I've been reading a lot of booktuber favorites in the first half of the month, and that is probably going to continue for the rest of the month. So probably my TBR will just continue into February because a lot of these books will get read in February. But I did want to do a stats girly because I do like a good stat. I am also using Cover with Cassidy, the spreadsheet that she made last year. She did a rewrite, so I'm just kind of using that. So I've read 7 books and I DNF'd 1. So I read 7 books, which is very exciting, for an average page count of 2061, which is really good. Average page count is 68 pages per day. I had a bit of a rough time, not really reading, it just was like a weird time. It just was very, very unfocused, and I had to make a lot of changes to my curriculum at work, which I really wasn't planning, and it just kind of lessened my reading a little bit. And I was also recovering from being sick. So it was a bit of a rougher reading time, but I still been reading consistently. My average page count was 294. I actually did have some very, very small fantasy books, which, you know, is interesting. And my most read genre is fantasy, which I've definitely been physically reading more than I've been audiobooking. And I read 0 books with rep and 2 from authors I read before, and I hauled 3, read 0. Sorry. But I had 1 5-star, 5 4-star, and that's about it. 1 5-star and 4 5, yeah, so 6. Oh, and then I had 1 nonfiction, which I don't rate. So, and then I had 3 new releases. I had 3 backlists, 1 from last year. I read 3 physical, 3 audio, and 1 ebook. I started 5 series. I continued in 0, and I caught up with 3. And I read 2 standalones. I read 1 companion. I read 1 middle grade, 3 YA, and 3 adult. So, and then I read 2 arcs, 1 on Audible, 1 on NetGalley, 1 owned, and 2 on Everand. I read 1 fantasy romance, 1 nonfiction, 2 fantasy, and 2 manga. 2 manga. I don't know why I wrote that. That's fine. But basically 1 graphic novel. I don't know why I wrote 2 manga. What did I do for manga? Middle grade. It's gonna bother me now that oh, hold on. I'm sorry. That's gonna bother me when I look at that. Okay. Oh, I Steeped in Death is a cozy. That's why. Yeah. Mystery. Sorry. I was like, I didn't read 2 of those. Yeah. So that's fine. So yeah, I read 1 mystery and 1 manga or graphic novel. And I think that's it. That's all my stats. Okay, so we're going to get into the books that I read. And again, I try to keep my track on Goodreads, and I try to keep up to date as I can. So the first book that I read was pretty much a book that I mostly read in 2025, but we were dealing on Stranger Things timetable, and I read These Runes Beneath Us by Sasha A. Sloan, and I love this book. I gave this book 5 stars. It will probably make my top reads of the year video because I love this book so much. It's like a Fae-inspired story. So you basically follow this character named Lyra, and she kind of lives with her mom in this little village, and she kind of winds up saving the prince accidentally, and she kind of gets sent to the court to be like an apothecary, like a healer, and things kind of go from there. There's a love triangle in the story. It's a very, it's a fantasy romance, and it does have some spice. I really liked Wings of Starlight last year, which was very, very Disney focused, and it really didn't really have a lot of spice. This had elevated spice, and I really did enjoy it. I know Fae fantasies are so popular. This one just felt new and different. There's a love triangle in here. I felt connected to both characters. I really liked this, and I'm so happy that I picked this book up because I'm so bad at reading my arcs. But I really, really enjoyed this book, and I'm hopeful more people will pick it up when it comes out in March. But I had a great time with it. And then, as you know, I've been trying to read a nonfiction book every month. So again, on my Stranger Things binge is Stranger Things Psychology: Life Upside Down by Travis Langley. I will touch a photo of that book here. Like, it was a fun listen. Like, it just kind of went into various topics. It talked about like race relations in Stranger Things. It kind of talked about, you know, friendship dynamics. It talked about boy and girl relationships. It talked about how males were represented versus females, and a lot of psychological topics, and I really enjoyed it. It kind of went up to season 4, so it had like a lot of topics, and I had a great time with it. Like, I enjoyed it. It was educational. It was interesting. If you're a Stranger Things fan, I'd recommend you pick it up. Now, this is where I started diving into all of my best books of the year video. Most of the next ones are all on someone's best books of the year, for the most part. A couple are not, but I'm not done with that video yet. So the next book I read was Left of Forever by Tara DeWitt. I will attach a photo of that book here. Jess, Avery, and Christy and Tori, I think they all like this book. And I gave it 4 stars. I enjoyed it. It was like a second chance romance about 2 married couple that kind of got separated. Now they were potentially like maybe they get back together. And it was interesting. I didn't feel that connected to them, I guess. It was a lot of like, I felt like the couple had so much history that like I wasn't included in. I had someone else read this book and they kind of said the same exact thing. It was fine. I like the side characters. It was an enjoyable world. It just didn't make the characters didn't make a big impression on me to give it 5 stars. So I only got a 4 star, but I did enjoy it. I had a fun time. I was happy that I was listening to it. It just isn't like a new favorite. And then, sorry, I have to move my computer. And then the next book that I DNF'd was An Arcane Inheritance by Camilla Cole. This is an adult dark academia novel, and to be honest, it's not really my vibe. So I DNF'd this. There's a possibility I may pick this book up as an audio at some point, because when I read dark academia, I just want to physically read it. And there was not enough fantasy in this book when I DNF'd it at like 100 pages for me to feel that connected. And then the next physical book that I read was The Luminaries by Susan Dinner. This was a rack from Julie from Keep Calm with Books and Coffee, and I'm so happy I finally got around to reading this. I just enjoyed this book. It was like very like Stranger Things-esque. Like, it reminded me of that when I was reading it. But basically, you follow a character named Winnie, and her desire in life is to be a luminary, an ancient order that protects the town. But her dad has been branded a traitor and a witch, and her family is an outcast, but she kind of goes against the rules and kind of goes into these trials, and things kind of go from there. I had a really fun time with this book. It is super short. It is not even 300 pages, and I liked it. I felt like I was very connected to the characters. There was a romance, there was friendship, and I love Susan Dennard. I really have liked her writing. I really loved her Truth Witch series, which is another book I'm probably going to read in the next couple of months. Reread it because Susan Dennard had a lot of health issues. But I like this. It was a fast-paced story as well that kind of kept me reading. And as I was talking about with my, like, you know, my focus issues, this book really helps. So I gave this book 4.5 stars, and I really do want to continue the series and keep reading it. And then the next book that I read was an early graphic novel that I got from NetGalley, and it's The Boxcar Kids. I will attach a photo of that book here. It's not even on NetGalley. It's not even on Goodreads, so I couldn't even put like an actual review of it, but I loved this series growing up. This was probably one of my favorite book series as a kid. Like, I was a Boxcar Kids fan. I think I read all of them, and I just was so fond of this series as a kid. I was an only child, so having brothers and sisters kind of like working together to solve mysteries is like my dream, because I'm an only child and I really like a mystery. So I read this, and I really am excited to maybe reread this experience through graphic novels. There is a former graphic novel series that is out, but this is like a new adaptation with kind of more, you know, up-to-date graphics, and I really had a fun time with it. I gave it 4 stars, and it was an enjoyable experience. And then I went back to one of the books that I started reading during TBR-a-thon the weekend, which is A Barista's Guide to Love and Larceny by Caroline Bond. This was an arc that I got from Comic-Con, and I really like this book. I gave this book 4.5 stars. Again, a solid read. This is what I wanted Brewed with Love to be, but it wasn't. So we have a main character named Dani, and she kind of has a magical power where she can kind of convince people to say more than they normally would. She can kind of put down their expectations, and she winds up catching the interest of a professor on campus, and she kind of works with this professor to kind of uncover this sleep ring where they do kind of like sleep experiments, and they come up with sleep drugs, and things aren't going well. People are having, you know, like the drugs are kind of having side effects. She kind of works with a crew of people to kind of figure out what is happening. And I really, it's set in college. It has a lot of world building. And I remember when I was reading Brewed with Love, I felt like that was a more like cozy, like mystery. Like that was like what that was. This is more of a cozy fantasy. And I really do like it. Or a cozy paranormal. And I had a fun time. I want more books set in this world because the world was so rich. And I gave it 4 stars. And then the next book that I picked up was Steeped in Death by Gretchen Rue. This was another book on Booktuber Favorites from Amy Marie. I will touch a photo of that book here. This was a fun cozy. It basically follows the main character. She kind of moved back to her aunt's small town and kind of runs this shop. And she learns that her heritage is not what she thought. And I gave this book 4 stars. I had a really fun time with it. I have been on the hunt for some new cozies, and this one did work for me. So I'm really happy that I picked it up. I want to read the second book soon, and it was just enjoyable, and I had a fun time with it. And then that's it. Those are all the books I read in the first half of the month. I did buy 3 books, and I'm hoping to do a reading vlog where I read through them. But I got 3 books. I got Rebel in the Rose, I got Rings of Fate, and I got Dragon Curse by Elise Kova. So I haven't read those yet. I really do want to do a reading early, either this month or early February, where I read through those so I have nothing on my physical TBR for 2026. I'm really trying to be good with the books that I buy. But let me know in the comments what is a book that you read so far in January that you really loved, and I will talk to you guys soon. Bye, book friends.